You won't believe what Kandi Burruss just revealed about her husband, Todd Tucker. After everything they have built together after years of marriage, trust, and family, Kandi found out that everything she thought she knew about Todd was a lie. It all started with something that seemed small, something Kandi never expected would turn her world upside down. At first, it was just little things. Todd was more distant, spending late nights at work, being secretive with his phone, and going places he didn't need to go. Let me tell you, Kandi didn't want to believe it. She thought she was just overthinking, maybe letting her insecurities get the best of her. But deep down, she knew something wasn't right, and she was about to find out just how deep the lies went. So one day, Kandi decided to follow her instincts. She went to a restaurant, a place she had poured her heart and soul into. It was supposed to be her safe haven, a place she could go and feel grounded, away from all the chaos. But what she discovered there would change everything. You won't believe it. Kandi walked in expecting a normal day, only to find Todd in the middle of an affair, right in her restaurant in the place she thought was hers and hers alone. And this wasn't just some random fling. No, this was much worse. Todd wasn't just meeting someone for a quick casual hookup. He was in the middle of an ongoing, full-blown relationship. It hit Kandi like a ton of bricks. Her heart dropped. The man she had trusted with everything, the man she had built her life and family around, had betrayed her in the worst way possible. Now here's where it gets wild. When Kandi confronted Todd about it, you'd think he'd own up to his mistake, apologize, and at least show some remorse for the damage he caused. But no, instead, he did something even worse. He denied it. He straight up told Kandi she was imagining things, that she didn't know what she was talking about. Yep, you heard that right. Todd, with the audacity, tried to convince her that she was wrong, that the affair wasn't happening, and that she was just being paranoid. Now, Kandi wasn't just devastated, she was furious. This is where it gets interesting. She wasn't going to sit back and let Todd twist the truth.
Kandi wasn't going to let him gaslight her into thinking she was crazy. She didn't just have a gut feeling. She had evidence. Proof that Todd's lies were too big to ignore. Kandi had a photo, a picture of Todd and his mystery woman caught in the act, taken right there in her restaurant. This wasn't some quick accidental meeting. No, this was an intimate, full-on betrayal that Kandi couldn't deny, and neither could Todd. But here's the craziest part. Even after being confronted with undeniable proof, Todd still tried to deny it. He attempted to explain it away, tried to make Kandi question the validity of the photo, and dismissed her pain as if it didn't matter. And that's when Kandi realized the full extent of his betrayal. It wasn't just about the affair anymore. It was about the disrespect, the lies, and the fact that Todd had no intention of taking responsibility for any of it. Kandi wasn't just heartbroken. She was angry. Angry that Todd didn't value her. Angry that he thought he could get away with this. But here's what makes this story different. Kandi wasn't going to let him continue living in denial. She wasn't going to stand by while he tried to turn the tables and make her feel like she was the one at fault. This wasn't just about revenge. This was about taking back control. Kandi knew she had to speak up, not just for herself, but for the life they built together. She wasn't going to stay silent any longer. She shared her truth with the world, showing everyone the extent of her pain. It wasn't easy, but Kandi knew this was the only way to start healing. And when she did, something incredible happened. Her fans, the people who admired her for years, began flooding her with messages of love and support. They couldn't believe what Todd had done, and they stood with Kandi as she faced the biggest betrayal of her life. But what Kandi didn't expect was that the drama wasn't over, not by a long shot. Just when Kandi thought she had hit rock bottom, another twist was waiting around the corner. This is where it gets even crazier. Todd's daughter Kayla stepped in, and not to support Kandi. Instead, she took her father's side, defending him against the very woman who had been betrayed. Kayla accused Kandi of causing all the problems, blaming her for the breakdown of their family. You won't believe what happened next. As Kandi faced the public backlash from Todd's daughter Kayla, her anger reached new heights. Kayla's accusations were not just unfair, they were cruel. Here's where things get even crazier. Kandi was left to deal with the fallout, not just from Todd's betrayal, but now from a family member she thought she could trust. You won't believe this part. Kayla had the nerve to defend Todd, to accuse Kandi of being the one who ruined everything.
She painted Kandi as the villain, completely ignoring the fact that it was Todd who had cheated and lied for months. Kandi tried to explain itself, tried to get Kayla to understand that the betrayal came from Todd, not from her. But here's the shocking part. Kayla refused to see the truth. Instead, she doubled down on her defense of Todd, attacking Kandi in public and online. What makes this story different is how Kandi responded. She could have fought back with anger or revenge, but she didn't. She chose to take a different route. She stayed calm, but her silence spoke volumes. She wasn't going to let Kayla control the narrative. But while Kandi was trying to process her pain and the chaos of the situation, another bombshell dropped, one that no one saw coming. Destiny took an unexpected turn when Todd, after all this time, finally spoke up. And you won't believe what he said. After staying silent for so long, Todd made it clear that his priority wasn't the truth or the family they had built. No, his number one concern was Kayla's mental health. Todd, in the middle of everything, chose to focus on protecting his daughter from the fallout of his own actions instead of taking responsibility for his betrayal. Yep, you heard that right. Kandi had been the one left to pick up the pieces, yet Todd's attention was fully on Kayla. Kandi, understandably, was livid. This is where the tension ramps up even more. Kandi realized that Todd wasn't just letting her down as a husband. He was choosing his daughter over her, over their family, over everything they built together. Todd was so wrapped up in defending his daughter that he completely ignored the woman who had stood by him through everything. It felt like the ultimate betrayal. But Kandi wasn't going to let this define her. She wasn't going to wait around for Todd to come to his senses. If he wasn't going to fight for their family, she was going to fight for herself. This is where Kandi took back control. She refused to let Todd's silence or Kayla's accusations control her emotions.
Instead, she focused on herself, on her future. Kandi made a vow that she wasn't going to be a victim anymore. She wasn't going to let Todd or anyone else dictate her happiness or her future. And here's where it gets even more interesting. The craziest part. As Kandi began to reclaim her life and shift her focus, her career, her friends, and her family rallied behind her even more. Kandi wasn't alone in this. As the media kept pushing out the details of Todd's betrayal, Kandi's true supporters came forward, lifting her up and showing her just how much strength she truly had. The more she distanced herself from the drama, the more she realized she had a life to rebuild, a life that didn't need Todd to be whole. Kandi had finally started to take control of her narrative, but the drama was far from over. This is where it gets really intense. Kandi knew that to truly move on, she needed to make some tough decisions, not just about her marriage, but about her entire future. And while the world watched, she didn't flinch. Kandi understood one crucial thing. She couldn't wait for Todd to change. She couldn't keep living her life in limbo, hoping he would eventually take responsibility. It was time for her to stop waiting for his apology and start focusing on what was best for her. You won't believe the change that came over her next. Kandi didn't just shut the door on Todd's betrayal. She threw the whole thing wide open. Instead of sitting in sadness or anger, Kandi used her pain as fuel for her next chapter. She dove headfirst into her career, her passions, and her family. And here's where it gets even more powerful. As Kandi took this stand, she didn't just start to rebuild herself. She started to remind everyone, especially Todd, that she didn't need him to be successful or happy. Kandi's strength became contagious. Fans, friends, and even people who barely knew her began to cheer her on. They saw how she was handling the devastation with a kind of grace and resilience that wasn't just about her healing. It was about reclaiming her power. What makes this so inspiring? Kandi didn't let Todd's betrayal define who she was. She defined herself. The more she focused on her own happiness, the more her fans rallied around her, and the more Todd seemed to fade into the background. But Todd wasn't gone. He wasn't going to slip away so easily. As Kandi's life took off, Todd finally realized something. He couldn't keep pretending like nothing was wrong. His silence and avoidance had left Kandi to pick up the pieces, and now the reality was sinking in. Kandi wasn't just moving on, she was thriving. He had been so focused on Kayla's well-being, on protecting his daughter, that he'd lost sight of the woman who had stood by him for years.
And as Kandi's career and personal life flourished, it was clear to everyone who had truly won this battle. But just when you thought things were winding down, the real bombshell hit. Kandi, while building her empire and reclaiming her peace, dropped a statement that made the world